Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is a special day. We have special guest Stephen Ward from VyFinance, working day and night, doing all kinds of crazy, amazing things, setting the bars high in the crypto space overall, and we're excited to have you, Stephen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me there. How you doing, Derek?
Doing fantastic. So what do you have going on right now in the VyFi, as far as VyFi news and everything VyFi?
Yeah, the VyFi space. Well, the first thing I got going on is looking at the camera. I'm realizing how much VyFi is aging me. So as a starting point, I think I need to get a new conditioning regime, and skincare regime. No, we've got a lot going on at VyFi. I mean, this is such a fast-moving industry, and to the point that it moves so quickly that sometimes you can actually get a little bit lost with your own project because you can be like, wow, we've got so many things going on at once. But that's all part of the fun. So let's start with our governance. I think that's one of the most immediate things that I'm really excited about. Our governance is hopefully going to be hosting our first vote by the end of the year. Still no absolute promises on that, but we're pretty confident. And we've launched our governance discussion area in our Discord so people can start putting up proposals and discussing those. We expect the discussions to really start once the votes start, because at the moment the votes haven't really begun yet. So it's just an area where people can put up their ideas to begin with. And then the discussions are really going to start once the voting begins. We've got a lot of ideas for votes already that I think are going to be really fundamental to the project. Things that I don't want to have the responsibility of making the decision on, I'm going to be honest, because any decision that you make, everyone's going to be upset. So examples of that are listing on centralized exchanges, the possibility of burning tokens from our maximum supply. I know that's a very popular one inside our community. What exchanges to list on, future farms, all these things that if I said we're going to list on a centralized exchange and I'm going to pick this one, I know that a lot of my community will be angry at me. If I say I'm going to come out and I'm going to burn X amount of tokens, I know that my community's a lot of people are going to be angry at me. I want the community to make these decisions. So, I'll share my opinions on those things in particular as we approach them, as we approach the votes for those. So yeah, we're super excited about that. Well, we've also got the Treasury launching alongside it. So the Treasury is going to have 9 million VyFi in it, and that's going to be launched alongside the governance voting. So that's going to be a really big sort of shift for the project, and I'm really excited to see what that brings. I think that high level of engagement will also give us more agility, as we'll be able to move quickly based on what the community wants. And hopefully it'll also mean that we can get a source of funding, which is our own treasury, to be able to do things if we have to, right? Which is something that I'm also really excited about, particularly for things like long-term influencers, marketing. We've always been a little bit anxious to give a lot of VyFi to marketers, right? And it's just because of the stories that you hear of influencers destroying tokens. Now, that being said, if the Treasury decides they want us to work with a few influencers in particular, and they're willing to give supply from the Treasury to make that happen, now I'm devoid of that responsibility of if they go and dump VyFi, right? I didn't make that choice. We made that choice as a community. So that's as I said, it's going to be very nice for decisions that I'm worried about, making those happen.
Yeah.
No, you go.
No, I was just saying, taking a lot of the pressure off your plate for sure, and then also giving votes to other people. But continue.
No, that's exactly it. Now after the governance, we also have another thing that we're hopefully launching before the end of the year, and that's our transaction cart. Now, this is something that's a little bit new in crypto. I don't actually think I've seen it before. Now that I think about it, no, I don't think I've seen it anywhere. This is going to be a very simple tool, and it behaves just like you'd imagine a shopping cart online, right? And that's what we actually base it off. We wanted it to be as similar to the user experience of Amazon or any of those other ones, right? And the way that it works is simply users will be able to add transactions. And when you're conducting the transaction, it goes submit transaction or swap. And then below that, there's going to be a button that says add to cart. And this is going to be working for every single one of our possible transactions on our site, except for our vaults. Unfortunately, it doesn't work initially with our vaults. But every other transaction on our site, bar our vaults, are going to be addable to the cart. And by adding it through to the cart, we're going to be able to save people on transaction costs. So you still have to pay for the swap. The swap's 1.9 ADA, but every time you submit a transaction, you're paying the transaction fee, the 0.2 Cardano.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had, let's say, 8 swaps to conduct simultaneously, you wanted to harvest your farm, or let's say 5 swaps, you wanted to harvest your farm, you wanted to add liquidity with one token, and you wanted to remove liquidity with another token. There's an example of 8 transactions you could put into the cart. You could press send through transaction now, do transaction. And instead of having to pay 0.2 ADA for each of those, which would be 1.6 ADA, you're now only paying 0.2 ADA to run that transaction once.
Wow. That's insane.
And it also, by the way, saves you time, right? Because you don't have to do a swap, wait for that swap to complete, wait for it to go through, and then once it's gone through, go do another swap. There's always that waiting time in Cardano, because you have to wait for the transaction to be submitted before you're able to submit another transaction.
Mm-hmm.
It's one at a time.
So it's like bundling transactions. Wow.
Exactly. So this is bundling it so that you can actually quickly go through the site, set up 8 transactions, and then set them all up and just let them go. Boom.
Wow.
Right?
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it's going to be really cool. We've already got this up and running on our pre-production. So in the next sort of week or two, we're hoping to have that live.
Nice.
Again, hoping. I'm hoping both of these are going to be by the end of the year. So yeah, they're the most immediate developments that we have coming. They're coming in hopefully by the end of this month. We don't have much time yet, so maybe first week of January.
So does this begin as an imagination in your mind, and then you, like, it's stunning to me how you could even implement something like this, let alone think about, and then putting it into actuality.
Well, yeah, thank you. Look, I guess the real impetus is trying to figure out how do you make users' experience better. The biggest issue that all DeFi has is the difficulty of engagement, right? And in Cardano, one of the biggest issues that we have is the wait time for transactions to take place. It really is an annoyance of mine. I have to deal with it more than most because I have to transact on Cardano all day, every day, right? So it was really this idea was born out of me doing lots of transactions every day with our CTO and sitting down together and being like, how can I make this a quicker process? Like how. When really it should be a 5-minute task, right? So I was like, how can we turn it into a 5-minute task? Well, the way we turn it into the 5-minute task is by running all these transactions simultaneously. So I just set them up, press the go button. They're all done at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's how this is something that turns it into a 5-minute task from a 25-minute task. How do we implement this so I can do it in 5 minutes instead of 25 minutes? So I built this one we came up with this idea for incredibly selfish basis to save me and my team time when conducting transactions. And we just realized that in setting it up for selfish reasons, we might have actually had something here that would be useful for others as well.
That's how some of the coolest things get invented in the world, right? You see a problem, you fix it. It becomes a huge business in a super unique and fantastic implementation to VyFi. That's awesome. Making it better, faster, cheaper.
Yep, that's it. And also hopefully giving it a familiar feel. The
Yeah.
the entire idea of the adding it to a cart and then doing it through a transaction cart. It'll even have the little cart symbol that you're used to seeing in shops
Nice.
whenever you shop online.
Yeah.
So it's really designed to sort of give a user flow that mimics the current existing user flow for purchasing things online, which we're hoping will really also conceptually allow it to be easy for users to realize, oh, I can just add this to cart, add it to cart, add it to cart, add it to cart, run it all at the same time. Oh, cool, right? So it comes off naturally to a very similar user flow to what people already do when they're shopping online.
That's fantastic. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
Wow.
So now following in from that, I mean,
Yep.
we're moving into the new year. It's been a huge year, as I'm sure you're aware.
Absolutely.
Now, with the huge year that we've had, you know, firstly, I just want to say thank you to the whole community. I haven't had a chance to say this yet. Thank you to the whole community for making this year possible. I know that you're a community member as well, so thank you to yourself. There's a few little stats that I think are a bit of fun. Since we launched our DEX, we've had 254 million Cardano in volume. We've had ourselves 300,000 trades. It's actually a little bit over, a couple of thousand over, but 300,000 swaps have been conducted on our site. And I think one of the ones that makes me happiest is we've gone from, a token on Cardano, of course, but now we're the 6th most held token on all of Cardano in terms of wallet holdership. So none of this would be possible without the community, right? And this last year has been a wild ride between our price pumping up to $1.20. What was it? $1.40 even.
Yeah.
Soon after the launch, all the way back down to where we've been at 9 cents, and now we're sitting at 30 cents. So now we're doing, I'm rather happy with 30 cents at the moment. I think, knock on wood, we've survived the bear. I think anyone that's made it through to this side now, we've probably survived the depths of the bear that we just had. Probably. I have been known to be wrong.
I agree.
Maybe, right? But we've probably survived the depths of the bear. And I think it's been a really long, hard one for a lot of us, and a lot of people and a lot of projects haven't been able to survive this bear. And it's only because of the community and because of the people battling their way through it, like all of you guys, like all the people in our community as well, that we've been able to survive. So thank you to everybody. This year has been insane.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, right back at you. I think the community would say thank you so much for working around the clock. Also, just innovating, setting the bar high, and just smashing it through this whole time. Yeah, it's been a difficult bear market for everyone involved, but I feel like together it's strength in numbers.
We made it through. Yeah, together we made it through. Yeah. Now we have a new type of product coming up in sort of, I'm hoping February, maybe early March. And we've started working with projects to do this. So we're actually not doing this one out of our own impetus. It's called a lock and load vault. And I think I want to just give it a little bit of a description here for the first time. So this is the first time I'm ever mentioning this product. This was born from an idea. A lot of projects send out a lot of tokens in airdrops and dual rewards, right? And I know you've almost certainly engaged with projects that are doing dual farming to try and get more liquidity in. Being added to the pool, right? But there is always a level of guess or a level of hope there, which is if I offer a dual reward, I don't know if I'm going to get more liquidity. I'm guessing I'm going to get more liquidity based on the fact that I'm offering a higher APY. So working and talking with some projects, we realized it would be amazing if there was some kind of mechanism that would allow projects to take that airdrop or that dual supply, that dual reward supply, and actually, rather than hoping that it makes its way to liquidity, using it to actually directly boost that project's liquidity. So this is where we came up with our concept of a lock and load vault. Essentially, what a project does is they put up a certain amount of their token that they want to have added into liquidity. Let's say, just for ease of number, 10,000 Cardano's worth, right? You as a user come up to the lock and load vault, and you would send in however much Cardano you want to lock, right? Let's say 1,000 Cardano, nice and easy.
Okay.
You send the 1,000 Cardano into the lock and load vault. It automatically matches with the tokens from the project. It then gets put into liquidity, and the LP tokens that are minted get sent into a time lock vault. Let's say 3 months, right? Or 6 months. In 6 months' time, when that vault times out, you can claim those LP tokens, and you not only get back the original amount of Cardano that you put in, but the project has given you their token side of the LP pool for free for having locked that liquidity in for a certain period of time.
Wow.
That way, the project is essentially giving out those tokens for free, but they were giving those tokens out for free anyway, right? Through a dual farm or through an airdrop, whatever that system was, they were going out for free.
Mm-hmm.
But rather than it going out for free and the project's hoping that it makes its way to liquidity, we're giving it out for free and then using it to lock that into liquidity for a certain period of time. Then when that liquidity unlocks, you finish it off with farm so that you enter and you have a farm waiting for the people when they unlock their tokens, with the idea being that not everyone is going to exit. If the token's done all right, a lot of people are going to stay in, keep the liquidity in there, continue farming.
Yes. Wow. So the
Right.
LP tokens aren't going to your wallet; they're going straight into this
Straight
vault.
into the vault.
Wow.
Correct. So what you're seeing as a user is you'd go to the front end, you would pick whichever lock and load vault you want to use, you would deposit your Cardano, and then after a couple of minutes, you're going to see an LP arrive inside a vault, right? And then there'll be the information of what was minted in that LP, so you know how many tokens are there.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that we're really excited about because I think this is a first in all of crypto. This style of vault where we're actually directly navigating airdrops and dual reward supplies, and we're using these to directly boost liquidity itself.
That's genius. It's a very, very novel idea. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we've already got a few projects that are signing up to do it. I won't go through that list just yet. That list will be coming out in January. But yeah, so we're really excited about that one. That's this is the first time I've ever spoken about it. We've been working on this one for a couple of weeks now. And we are going to be launching a few projects through this. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't say names.
It's like hard. So it's hard to hold back.
I will. I'll say one name. The big impetus for this was actually from Empower. So Empower and ourselves were chatting and trying to work out ways that we could sort of help boost liquidity, and that's where this idea sort of spawned from.
Fantastic. I'm a nice supporter of Empower, so that makes me excited for sure. You can even do like
hopefully
3,
they'll
6.
have a lock and load vault soon.
Is that something where you do like 3 months? You have an option, maybe 6 months, maybe 9 months, or like even a year, or is that too long?
That's definitely a possibility. We're looking at that right now. The possibility of like multiple vesting periods or options for vesting periods. So we're still not 100% defined on the final design. Like the final product is designed, like the product itself, but the final implementation hasn't been designed, I guess is the best words for that. So like, yeah, exactly as you said, what's the exact time frame? What's the exact amount of tokens? Is there going to be 1 vesting set, 2, 3 vesting sets? Are they going to be partially unlocked over time? You know, these kind of implementation questions, we're still working on them now. So unfortunately, I don't have an exact answer for you.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, that'll be exciting to look at how that develops, because that's really interesting. You know, outside of your traditional run-the-mill, I see a lot of the dexes on Cardano that just started out like copying a lot of the Ethereum style, just AMM, traditional, regular
Mm-hmm.
Liquidity stuff. I see you guys just innovating in your own way, like you're not even paying attention to what's going on, and you're just solving problems and doing things that
That's
are
exactly
unique.
it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And I think that's what's so important about the tools that we've been given in Cardano. And I speak about this quite a bit, right? Cardano is a very unique tool set with a very unique way and mode in which it works, like unique logic structures,
Mm-hmm.
which gives us unique advantages and disadvantages. It
Mm-hmm.
goes both ways. But a lot of projects are doing exactly that. They're trying to mimic the Ethereum style dexes because they think, and I mean, it's perfectly valid logic, these products have worked before, therefore it's best to release products that have worked before.
Mm-hmm.
That is not just a Cardano that's not just a logic that's unique to here and dexes here. That's in all of business, right?
Yep.
But what we found is that we've been given this opportunity to use this really unique technology, and we should be working out how to implement this unique technologies in ways that gives us tools that are uniquely poised or doable because of the technology that we're on. In other words, uniquely Cardano tools, right? And these uniquely Cardano tools, like the transaction cart, you couldn't do a transaction cart in an EVM machine,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not even really an option. You can't do that.
Yeah.
But you can do that in Cardano. So why not take the opportunity of being able to do that to actually just do it?
There's a lot of space to be more
I guess
expressive. Yeah.
exactly. It allows us to really try new ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and they might not all work. And that's something that I do want to add. They might not all work, and that's something that I'm not personally too worried about. For any idea that doesn't work, there's another one that does, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
just go to the one. We'll just try another one that does.
Yeah.
So it's not really a look, you lose time and you lose money if something
Yeah.
doesn't work out. That is true. But for the most part, I should say that up until this point, the response that we've had from the community from the unique products that we build has always been positive.
Yeah. For
People
sure.
want to see these developments and they love it. So I think one of the big things that we want to focus on is bringing more unique Cardano implementations to the Cardano community to solve, as you said, to solve problems that projects are having.
That's wonderful. I keep, every time I go to the DEX, I'm on there every day. It's just such a pleasant experience to go on
Thank
and
you.
navigate around, check my farms, check my vaults. The way that you do everything, the countdowns. I mean, it's just so unique and wonderful. And not to mention the new UI experience was really really nice too. So you're just constantly innovating, and it's what the community wants to see. I mean, it's especially during a bear market, right?
Absolutely.
It's, you know,
Well, they want to know that you're building. They want to know that you're building.
yeah. Give
Right.
up or go big, right? You guys are going big.
Well, we're trying to. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about, because of course we've still got more, the Auto-Harvester.
Yep.
So we're building out our Auto-Harvester, of course, and that is the system that allows people to automatically engage with liquidity pools. So it's an indexed fund for liquidity pools is the easiest way to describe it. The initial design will be set strategies that are being launched that users are able to engage with, where they essentially put in. We're hoping the design will actually be any token that's in the strategy, not just Cardano. So you should be able to enter using any token that's contained within a strategy. But you put tokens in, those tokens mint you a representative token, very much like the bar, where you put in VyFi to get X VyFi.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, you would get Auto-Harvester token and hold that in your wallet. And then just by holding that Auto-Harvester token, just like X VyFi and VyFi, we have that continual feeding of the rewards back to the Auto-Harvester. And every time that's fed, the rewards get fed back, the value of the Auto-Harvester token changes, right? Very similar to how our bar works with X VyFi. So this Auto-Harvester system is something that we're actually got our catalyst for it. The catalyst in Fund 11. I'd love if anyone here has a chance to go have a look. Please do. It's pinned on our Twitter account, so you guys can all jump into it very easily just by going to our Twitter page, and it's there at the very top. I should say X now. I don't know. What do we say? Are we saying
Right.
X?
We'll leave a link of that of your X in the description.
Yeah. Leave a
Check
link
that
of our X.
catalyst.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we're super excited about that. Yeah,
That's
super
awesome.
excited.
That's really
Uh,
again another innovative technique.
yeah, well, it's something that doesn't exist on Cardano yet. Liquidity aggregation and auto harvesters do exist on other chains. It's something that doesn't exist on Cardano yet, and I think and I'm not sure why, to be honest. I think it's got to do with the fact that Cardano doesn't have the liquidity yet that Ethereum and the other chains do, so it hasn't been like the chain hasn't felt like it's an impetus.
Mm.
I also think that another big advantage to these liquidity aggregators and our auto harvester in particular, something that people haven't really sort of considered is the aggregation of transactions. So the chain is sort of very overburdened. I don't know if you'd say overburdened. It's got a lot of heavy load, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people, when the chain is got a lot of demand, it slows down. We've been having issues with load just in the last couple of weeks, and we've seen that on people complain about it on Twitter. What this also provides is an aggregation tool for those transactions. So if you had 100 users inside the auto harvester, normally that would be 100 independent users all farming. And 100 independent users farming means there's 100 separate farm transactions, one for each user. But if they're in the auto harvester, all of that farm is aggregated into one single transaction that's being run for the auto harvester.
Nice.
Right?
Okay.
If you're moving between a liquidity pool, normally you'd have 100 different users all individually moving between liquidity pools, resulting in a plethora of separate transactions. But if we're all in the single auto harvester, we aggregate those transactions into one, and you just have the auto harvester do one single swap from one liquidity pool to another, right? Which is 3 transactions.
Yeah.
So we're able to take what would be sets of individual transactions being conducted independently by lots of people, aggregate those into one single transaction, and in turn reduce total blockchain load because now there's less transactions that need to be run for DeFi. So that's one of the biggest, and that's actually the main reason why liquidity aggregation was developed and implemented on Ethereum, right? It was for the actual transaction save. All the users have to spend so much money on gas. Why not get us all together into one group and only spend gas once between all of us instead of spending gas independently 700 times? So yeah, we're super excited about the auto harvester, really excited about the catalyst. Definitely go in and check out the catalyst and come and ask any questions about that. It's something that we're really passionate and proud of. So, there's a lot of work that still needs to go into it. But we'll get there.
Taking those like UTXOs and bundling it into one UTXO or whatever. Is that what that is? Is that what the auto harvester is doing?
It's more automated. No, you're not way off. You're not way off. It is bundling it all into sort of one single place.
Okay.
It's sort of treating it as a portfolio, I guess is the easiest way to describe it.
Okay.
So a portfolio would, for example, have 5 separate 10 tokens, let's say 5 tokens, just to keep life easy. 5 tokens in it, right? So the auto harvester would have 5 UTXOs, one for each token. And then it keeps track of the value of each UTXO and then automatically adjusts to maintain within the value boundaries. So if it's supposed to be 20% towards each token and one token goes up to doubles in price, with that doubling in price, now it represents 30% of the total supply. So we sell down that 10% and go into other tokens.
That's awesome. That's really
Portfolio
innovative.
management. It's good fun.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing that I wanted to mention, I do have to finish up, unfortunately. I have to go into another meeting.
Yeah.
But the last thing that I definitely wanted to mention before I go is our T-1. So we are releasing a launchpad. We've been working with Niels from MuesliSwap. And he's the CTO of MuesliSwap, I should add. And we've built a launchpad called T-1. T-1.pro if you want to go look it up. If you could include that link below, that would be amazing.
For sure.
We are basically launching with a few projects. We're not allowed to say them publicly just yet, which is really unfortunate because we were talking about it earlier with Derek. There's some exciting projects coming up. But we're already working with a few projects for their launches coming in February, March. And these launches are going to be something that we run in a fully compliant manner. So what we're really interested or really excited about is that this is going to be the first fully jurisdictionally compliant, fully jurisdictionally compliant launchpad. Well, that's a sentence in all of Cardano. And that means that we've essentially developed a system to ensure that only the KYC providers are receiving the purchase token. And this is something that doesn't really exist at the moment on Cardano. And, what I mean by that is smart contracts are public information. They're public addresses on Cardano, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means that a user can find the public address and send the tokens into the public address and still access a launch without being KYC'd, right? Because the smart contract is just going to see a transaction come in and then is going to send out the resultant transaction.
Oh, I see.
From there, what we've essentially done is we've rejigged and redesigned that system so that only KYC'd accounts are able to access those tokens. We're able to essentially reject non-KYC'd accounts. And by doing so, we're able to confirm for projects, that newly launching projects, that only KYC'd individuals are receiving their token, which is what particularly larger projects need to be able to show to regulators. And that's something that we're really excited for because a system that does this consistently on Cardano doesn't exist at the moment. You can't actually run there's no system to run a compliant launch on Cardano as it stands. Mm-hmm. And we're really excited to be bringing that to the Cardano community.
That's like a mind blow type of thing right there. I'm just thinking about that, thinking, wow, and there's so much that's awesome.
Thank you.
And I'm sure
there's
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, definitely go check it out to everybody.
Yeah, sure.
Just go have a look. T-1.pro.
Looking at that website, it looks really cool. And exciting to some of those projects. And I'm sure that's just the beginning of the list of projects that are going to want to jump on board with T-1 and use your launchpad to KYC and along with their IDOs. I see a big future for that. That's great, man. Setting the bar high. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what I like about VyFi from the very beginning. I've been following you for years now, and it's just exciting to continue to see this project evolve. And Steve, we really appreciate your time. We know you've been going through some family struggles lately, and it's just nice to get you here out for the community. I learn a lot every time. You always put me to work in my research when I get off these conversations. So we really appreciate it, man. Any final words?
No, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and any final words? You got the floor here, and we'll wrap it up.
I guess the only final words I'd want to say is don't be a stranger, guys. Definitely swing into any of our socials. Come say hello. Ask us any questions you have about the systems. I know they can be a little complex. I know that we're doing a lot. Don't be scared of engaging, right? Just come and say hello, and we'll happily help you. And I think another big one is just everyone that's passionate about the space. Now's the time to get excited and start getting involved in these projects. We're starting to see the markets turn around. Take the opportunity to dive headfirst into the things that you believe in. We were at about this point in the last bull market when I realized, and then I dove and I did. Mm-hmm. And what I want to say is that opportunity exists for everybody. Yep. Be creative, be smart, dive in head first and learn. Exactly. Always stay creative and learn.
Beautiful words. Beautiful words to live by there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Look, and thank you so much for having me. And thank you to you. Taking the time to talk to me as well. I'm just a boring old fuddy-duddy that spends too much time looking at a computer.
It's a pleasure, man. And thanks for that computer advice also.
Pleasure.
Well, cheers, mate. I will see you soon, and we're excited. We'll see you in the Discord channels. We'll see you in the socials, and check out your Catalyst 11 Fund Auto Harvester. Yeah, I'll definitely make sure I get some votes out for that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. We'll talk
Awesome,
soon,
man.
no doubt.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.